Hi, welcome to Box on the Box Rock and Celluloid, Bob Brack for short. I'm Edward Box. So I got a film review of the remake of Salem's Lot. This came out last Friday. I managed to catch it today. So long as I've been looking forward to this, I've been inquisitive to see it, and that's been over a long time because this was actually finished in 2021. We'll come to that in a sec. As I always do, generally, I will do a spoiler-free review and then I will go into spoilers, and the spoilers will involve Salem's Lot, the 1979 version. If you've not seen that, you won't want to carry on watching it for that reason, and something else I'll touch on as well. So what's this film like? The way I describe it, if you've never seen Salem's Lot before, you've got Now TV, you've got your kind of Sky Cinema, and the things come up where the new films they've got on Sky Cinema. They usually put one or two out a week, something like that. And you click on and you go, oh well, I've got this Salem's Lot remake. Should I watch that? Yeah, go on. And then it would finish, and you would go to your wife or your mate, go, what do you think of that? And they'd go like, yeah, it was alright, 5 out of 10. And that's where we'll put it at. If you've seen the 1979 Salem's Lot, you will pick a lot of holes in this that I'm about to do and compare and contrast. But really, the main thing with this is it looks okay. It's pretty well shot. The director is Gary Doberman. He has done, I'm just looking at, he was the director of Annabelle Comes Home. Yeah, and he's written like Annabelle, The Nun, and stuff like that. So he's part of the Conjuring franchise, so to speak. But the only thing he's directed is Annabelle Comes Home, which was quite a popular $231 million. Anyway, he's okay. There's a couple of interesting little flourishes in this. There's a couple of interesting match cuts. I haven't really talked about that. But they're in at one point they're in a estate agents, and then the camera pans down to like a sort of logo for estate agents, and it's got a kind of moving sign like that, and then it match cuts to an overhead shot of a banister, which is quite interesting. Looking over, and it does match up, and another one is someone opening a Bible, and that match cuts to someone opening a sandwich and looking at the jam filling, and of course blood vampires. Anyway, I'm digressing. The reason I'm saying that is clearly Gary Doberman's got a bit of visual sort of flair, and he's clearly capable of, making a film. But what this film lacks is, it lacks characterization. It lacks sort of allowing the characters to breathe, and it rushes the story. The Salem's Lot, the book, is Stephen King's second novel, I think. It's a real classic, and it's a fair old tome, and the 1979 miniseries was like a 1.5 hour episodes, like a big TV movie really, and this runs for an hour and 53 minutes, and it's just not long enough. Nothing wrong with the cast, just going back here, pardon me, sorry. Right, yeah, so Lewis Pullman, if you recognise that second name, he is the son of Bill Pullman, another Nepo baby. He plays Ben Mears, he's perfectly good in this. Ben Mears is a writer who goes back to Salem's Lot. An actress called Mackenzie Lee plays his sort of love interest. She was pretty good. Alfred Woodard, she plays a doctor in it. Alfred Woodard's always good. Bill Camp, sort of great, becoming a great American character actor, really good. William Sadler's in it, he's good. Unfortunately, Pilu Aspect as Richard Straker, he doesn't have as much to do in this. He doesn't come anywhere close to James Mason, and neither does Alexander Ward as Kurt Barlow. I'm not going to any more than that. Like I said, I wouldn't go to the picture to see this, and you probably won't. This will end up on streaming fairly soon. It ended up on Max, HBO streaming in America. It's never got to the cinema. It was originally intended to always go to that. But what happened with this film was in 2021, it was finished shooting. It was supposed to be released in 2022, so quite a bit after COVID. It got kicked back. It was supposed to be end of year Halloween, I think. They got kicked back to April 2023. Then stuff started appearing on the internet. What's happened to the remake of Salem's Lot? Will it get released? and then just recently the trailer dropped and they've put it out there. But clearly there's been some editing done and other stuff, probably studio interference. Maybe they just haven't had faith in it, that it's going to do well. A film called Renfield, this sort of vampire comedy thing with Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult, came out a while ago, and that didn't do well, which was strange because the trailer was very funny and the film was pretty decent sort of comedy horror with a couple of like good names in it. So maybe vampires just aren't flavour of the month, I don't know. Anyway, that's where the end of the review is. Now I'm going to get into spoilers. This is going to involve the original 1979 Salem's Lot, this Salem's Lot, compare and contrast. And I'm also going to talk about something on Netflix called Midnight Mass quickly. And you don't want no spoiling, especially not Midnight Mass if you've not seen it, because it's fantastic. Okay, so starting proper review. As I said, my problem with this was it was quite interesting in the film because it started with an expositional credit sequence. Now, a lot of films don't start with credit sequences now, let alone an expositional one, but it actually gave you plot points. It showed you like what's happening in Salem's Lot in the past, a little bit of history of Marsden House by way of newspaper headlines and the blood, kind of tracking the voyage, a bit like the voyage of the Dementor almost, of Barlow and Straker. So clearly was that added on afterwards, and I think maybe it was. I think maybe this film's been longer at the start and that credit sequence has been created to put in exposition to tell you they've taken over, this antique shop, they've come over from Europe, blah, blah, blah. So when the film started, it literally started in the antique shop with the Straker character telling the guy to go and pick up the coffin. Now, if you remember the original Salem's Lot, the 1979 version, now what's the name of the guy, the character? Just bear with me a second. Ned Tebbits, that's it. So Ned Tebbits and some guy, they go to pick up, I can't remember, it's Jeffrey Lewis' character, they pick it up from the docks and have been given specific instructions, and they're driving along, there's noise and they complain about the cold. They turn up at the Marsden house, it's really tense sequence, and they just put the coffin away, chuck it on. And that's the sequence that opened the new film. So really, if the original Salem's Lot, Ben Mears turns up, you meet characters from the town. I can't remember how far that's in, but I'm sure it's about half an hour. And it shows you like how this is like been truncated. The Marsden house, you had the Lewis Pullman talking about it. I found the house not as good. This kind of obviously copying the House on the Hill psycho thing, where the Marsden house in the 79 version is kind of off to the side more. And when you went inside it as well, it was just like, a typical period home with candles. I mean, the Marsden house in the 1979 version is fucking terrifying inside. It's full of cobwebs, fucking antlers, the guy gets fucking impaled on it. So I wasn't impressed with that. Then there was the other weird thing, very early on they abducted the Glick boy. Quite a good sequence when he had the Straker character behind him in the woods. Then Nissy's offers of the blood sacrifice, that isn't made apparent in the 79 version. He gets turned into a vampire and he appears at the window, which he didn't do in this film. The inference is the master takes the brother, I think. That was quite an eerie sequence actually in this one. It was something where he had the brother go outside. I thought that was pretty good, but it's not as good as the kid coming up to the window. I know they did it twice in the 79 version. But things have moved very, very quickly, and they kind of had the love interest Susan, who's played by Bonnie Bedelia in the original, working for the estate agents, and there's a whole subplot with the estate agent guy, the kind of soap opera element of the Salem's Lot 79 version, but I like all that. But really where this started to go wrong was when the Bill Camp character, who plays the school teacher, Jason Burke, played by Lou Ayres in the original, who was in All Quiet on the Western Front. Anyway, Bill Camp's character, he just seemed to work out really quickly. It's vampires, and he's explaining it to the Ben Mears character. And it was weird. The Ben Mears character was reactive in this to me. Ben Mears in the original David Soul character is proactive. He's investigating. He's the one he knows they're dodgy, and he kind of brings people on board. So that was strange, but yeah, that was a big plot jump, and they're kind of standing outside his house, and it's like all agreeing it's vampires, or let's wait to prove it. It's quite good, the scene where the mum woke up, but the taping the thing, but not as good as the original where David Soul's shaking, and he almost has to find Faith. The other thing, they've sort of gone for the Stranger Things thing with this. Obviously, you've got the It film did well, really, because they kind of cast one of the kids from Stranger Things, and then kind of tapped into that thing of having really young people involved in the horror, so to speak. But what made the original more interesting is you had kind of adults, proper adults, kind of in fear and losing control, and that's frightening when you're a kid because you expect adults to have control, so to speak. But the Mark character in this was obviously played by a kid who would be at primary school, or maybe in what we call our year 11. Is it? No, not year 11, our year 7, or what we used to call first year. He's very young, and there's one bit where he comes in later on, he kind of knows everything. And it's kind of like the thing is, the original Dan Making original was like David Soul kind of takes Mark under his wing a bit, and Mark doesn't know a lot about vampires, but he's kind of guiding him, and he's kind of becomes the Van Helsing figure, really, in a way. Now in this, the Jason Burke character was kind of initially the kind of Van Helsing figure, but obviously if you've seen it, well, I'm guessing you have because you're watching this, he got killed off. So there's a lot of things. Then it just started to move quickly. The bit with outside the church with them on the trailer, and it's actually in the trailer for the film with the vampire's eyes lighting up. Quite weird when they turned up at Jason Burke's house and there's vampires on the roof. The problem with this film was it just kind of wanted to show everything. It showed the master, the Barlow character, in the first few minutes. I mean, he doesn't appear until I think could be the second hour and 30 of the 79 version. He certainly, if he does appear, it's very towards the end of the first one. I need to watch it again. But that's just weird. It's that thing with horror films now, people can't do a slow burn. It's like the audience, according to the people making it, don't have the patience. It reminded me of the Woman in Black remake with Daniel Radcliffe, where the Woman in Black, you can see her briefly throughout in the first 5-10 minutes of him getting to the house. I mean, the Woman in Black shouldn't appear till much later on, but that's the way things are now. I thought the Barlow character, I was thinking about how to explain it. He was kind of more ubiquitous than Ken Barlow, Everyone seemed to know who Barlow was. Even the William Sadler color goes, Barlow's in charge now. I'm off, and it's like, when did you find out all these vampires and Barlows? The Master, as he's called in the original SALEMS LOT, we know he's Kurt Barlow, but he's referred to as the Master. In the Rutger Hauer one, he's just takes human form. He's Mr. Barlow, Kurt Barlow, but in this we call him Barlow, and he's kind of Master Barlow, but I don't know. I can see why they didn't want to do a straight remake of the 1979 version, which I think is quite a faithful adaptation of the book, but it was fucking good. I think that's where the crux of this is why didn't they do a limited series of this? It worked brilliantly in 1979. And why not get someone like Mike Flanagan to do it? Well, the problem is he kind of has, and it's called Midnight Mass. So if you watch Midnight Mass on Netflix in 7 parts, Mike Flanagan, brilliant limited series. That to me has got quite a lot of elements of Salem's Lot. Vampire infection taking over the town. It's isolated community. And it also has the thing of like the early vampires. And Midnight Mass, you have like the creature, I can't forget what it's called in vampire mythology, that's probably turned the first vampires. And I've always felt like with Barlow, the Master is a very old vampire. Not a lot of vampire films always explore that. And also the role of Familiar, which was really piss poor in this. Mr. Richard Straker character was not given a lot to do. James Mason's given loads to do in the original. He's absolutely chilling, and then it had the kid blatting him. It just took him out of the equation. He just seemed a pretty comical character, whereas you know, in the 79 version, he kind of insinuates himself into the community. He has a nice opening for the antique shop, and of course the classic line, I'm afraid Mr. Barlow is away on a buying trip in Europe, but he'll be joining us soon. You'll enjoy Mr. Barlow and he'll enjoy you. Sorry. Brilliant. So just loads of stuff missing, just big chunks. I did like the drive-in movie scene, the first bit, one where he was talking to Susan. I thought that well, and I didn't expect the drive-in fear to appear again, and I actually thought that was pretty clever, having this vampire sleep there. Cool double bill as well, the drowning Paul Newman and Gene Hackman in Night Moves. But that was the other thing. This is set in 1975, and really the only reason for this is no one would let their kids go out alone now in the woods, would they? Or like, yeah, you're right walking back at dark, just come through the woods. And that's why you have to have things like this, like the black phone set in those times, because kids can't, you know, it's harder for them to go missing now because everyone knows where they fucking are. And this is one of the things with horror, it's, you know, the kind of horrors I grew up on are quite hard to do in a present day setting because of technology and how people behave. Like the first Omen didn't do very well. I quite liked it. I did a review of it, check it out. And that had a slow burn, a slow build. And that was set in the 1970s. So, you know, you can see that. But, yeah, this wouldn't work set in, you know, present day. But the 1970s-ness of it didn't really come through either. It kind of didn't matter that it was 1970s. There wasn't any kind of cultural context of it being the 1970s, apart from the sort of sexism of the estate agent and the mum wanting to, you know, hook up her daughter with a certain partner. And that was another thing that was ridiculous, the mum becoming the familiar for Barlow. Where the fuck did that come from? And turning up with a shotgun. Yeah, it lacked mystique, it lacked mystery, it lacked tension. I'm kind of said 5 out of 10, but maybe it's a 4. But like I say, if you haven't seen anything to do with SALEMS LOT before and you watched it on a Sunday afternoon when it's raining or late at night, you'll probably quite enjoy it. But I think that kind of covers my thoughts on it. I'm sure I missed something out because I love the original SALEMS LOT, but I kind of knew this was going to be a bit of a turkey, and it's not terrible, but it just, you know, it lacks build, it doesn't create tension, and its characters, because it truncated it, the characters are too thinly drawn. And what makes SALEMS LOT really work at its heart is great writing from the original book, and that being put into the TV movie with really good characterisation and casting. Okay, remember, share and subscribe. I'll see you again soon.